You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty, good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye. Hello, depending wherever you are in the world, welcome along. Have you calmed down yet? Have you calmed down yet? I haven't, not at all. But then after the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks, I've kind of, let's just enjoy it while it happens because we don't know what's going to happen in the next game. But welcome along. This is the preview show. Just advertising there, something we've got coming up. Trying it a little bit new. 2 fans down the pub. Literally, we will be down the pub talking absolute nonsense right from the get-go, although it'll probably get worse when we have a few pints. And thank you very much to my local who are supplying us some free pints on the night. So God knows where it will end up. But that starts in a couple of weeks' time. 14th of May, I do believe. And a lot of people have been asking, because obviously the 2 matches that have got coming up Friday night and Saturday night will affect our game on Monday night. We could actually, before we even kick a ball off, against Preston on Monday night, be promoted if, and it's a big if, I think, if QPR can beat Leeds. But look, it's been such an absolutely silly season. Who knows what will happen? And what we're going to do is tomorrow night, I've only just decided this about 10 minutes ago, which is why I was a little bit late, and apologies. I'm going to be doing a watch along for the QPR versus Leeds. And tonight, Matthew, as they say, I am going to be a QPR fan. And then on Saturday night, you guessed it, we're going to be doing a watch along for Hull Ipswich. Because again, depending how the scores go, that might get us celebrating. Oh, and yes, Monday night, obviously we have a little game. Preston hosting Leicester City. If we go, whatever happens in the other 2 games, if we get 3 points on Monday night, we will be promoted. And I don't care. I'd love to go up as champions and just do one more than Man City. But at this point now, it's just a case of I just want to go up. And I've got to be honest with you, I love Preston North End. I used to live in Burnley for 20-odd years, and I had 4 kids. And the Leicester game was always, I think they classed it as a family game, and it was kids for £1. And when you got 4 kids, that is a hell of a saving. And we used to have a good day out because they used to have the museum there as well until they decided for some reason to move it to Manchester. But the FA Museum was at Deepdale for many, many a year. And it was nice just to pop in and have a look at it. But let's get on with today's show, which is that preview of Monday's game. And, well, look, where would I be without my wise old owl? Craig, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here after a win.
Yes, is that your excited face? Because it doesn't look any different.
I was there, so I had excitement written all over me for the next 24 hours. I was walking back to the car and with Scott, and I couldn't stop just saying wow.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes. Yeah. Best game of the season. Sorry, not the best game. The best performance of the season.
I think from in many ways, I know I know Enzo didn't say it was, but it was almost like we'd got a bit of our old Leicester back. You know, it had that kind of feel about it, that we were playing quicker, we were playing more direct when we needed to try and exploit the opposition. Everything that we've been asking for, you know, it was like an old Leicester performance. So sit back, let them have the ball, 64% possession or something, and then just go and score 5 goals.
Yeah, exactly. Hello to everybody. I've got to say to Adele, I always like saying it's Adele. Hello. Is it hello, Adele? Yeah, all right, move on. Shall I move on? Funnily enough, that was the reaction I got off Brad when I did it when I was on the show with him. Ben, sorry, Chris, it's just wishful thinking if you think QPR beat Leeds. I expect Leeds to win. I predicted a Leeds win, but look, I live in hope. Come on, Rangers. Yes, indeed. And Doug is in. Good evening, Doug. How are you? But look, we are playing, say, Preston. Whoops, Daisy. Let me just, if I can find the right one, I will actually, there we go. Bring him in, our guest for this evening. We've been waiting patiently in the green room. But Ollie, good evening, Ollie. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Chris and Craig. How are you both?
Good,
we
thanks.
are good. We are really, really good.
Before we get cracking into this, Ollie, I've got a question for you, and I apologies if you've been asked this a million times or the answer's been on this show before. What's the provenance of the Preston badge with the symbols that are on it, and why is there a PP?
So PP stands for Proud Preston,
Okay.
and it's been pretty much the city's emblem logo. I believe it's pronounces for something else, but obviously as Prestonians, you know, you try and make your own jargon up. But it stands for Proud Preston, and it's been the city's motto for God knows how long. And obviously they thought they'd replicate it on the badge because, you know, being from Preston, I think besides obviously a couple of Liverpool and United fans within Preston, the majority of Preston are proud of their club, so the PP goes on there.
Cool. And what's with the is it the sheep and a cross? And
yeah, it's a lamb. It's a lamb with a cross, and it's just the it's this. I think it's the city's. I can't remember the right word for it, but it's
is it like the city's crest or whatever?
Yeah,
you know, symbol,
absolutely. Yeah, the crest.
Yeah.
It's the city's crest that's been there for ages, so they've just incorporated it up all in one. I think it's a really nice badge, actually.
Yeah. It's different. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be just the sheep and then Preston North End in like a triangle shape, but they've done really well with the badge, and I think they've stuck to it well.
Well, let's hope for one night only that you are lambs to the slaughter.
Oh, you beat me to it. Oh, Craig.
Sorry.
I dragged him down to my level. I can remember when you would not have come out with that when I first met you. Oh, that's I'm too nice. I let him go first, and he was in there boom, straight away. You know, but yes, like I say, I remember all those years when we were in the Championship and we were like the bottom feeders towards the bottom of the league. Craig always used to go along to because I lived in Burnley, Preston only just down the road, and a very, 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 very friendly club. Look, I've even written lamb down, ready to go, lamb to the floor. Oh, you're going to struggle later on the on the quiz. Stuart is in as well. Hi, Stuart. Dan James is out for Leeds. Jamie says, never noticed the PP before. What's the cross? There's the cross.
The cross?
Yeah, the cross.
It's holding, I believe it's holding a flag.
Oh, is it a flag?
I believe it's a flag. I'm having to zoom in myself as well, but
it does look like a cross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the cross with like a flag on the end.
No, well, I've just zoomed in, and it definitely is a Yes, it's a cross, but with a flag on the end.
If anybody's just tuning in and just watching three people online peering as closely as they can to the screen.
Welcome along to Badges Through the Ages.
Yeah.
Does anybody ever watch, what's that thing? The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
And it's it does that show, whatever it's called, Flag Show or something. This is the bad show. Alan from Burnley, talking about Burnley earlier. Thank you, sir. Can Burnley do the Great Escape? I think it's there. There's a good possibility. Look, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and I've locked her in the cupboard beneath the stairs, so we should be all right tonight. Sorry, Craig, I'll let your wife out later. I didn't say that. I was joking, Craig. I'll get you back for pinching my jokes. But no, thank you, Alan. You're a gentleman. Thank you very much. And John is in as well. Right, let's start and talk about this gentleman, if we can. Oh, sorry, Ollie, very remiss of me. Do give everybody a shout. I have put your links in the description below, but just give everybody a shout as to where they can find you.
Yeah, so my name's Ollie. I'm the host of the Butterpie podcast. Quite a unique name regarding, obviously, a football podcast. We're a Preston North End related podcast, and obviously, for all you Leicester listeners, if you want to hear a slight bit of bitterness after Monday nights, just pop on over to your reputable podcast streaming sites, or on Spotify, Apple Music, whichever. Or if you just want to have a little look on Twitter, we're at the Butterpie Pod.
Brilliant. Ryan Lowe, been there since December 2021.
Yeah.
One thing that strikes me about Preston, and like I say, I don't have any beef with Preston at all. I like Preston as a club, but you seem to do the same thing every single year. And you always have a good start, and you're always there or thereabouts, and then mid-season-ish, you tend to fall off the ladder. Are you happy with Ryan? But he seems to have done the same this season.
I mean, there's been slight progression every year with Ryan Lowe, and he's come out in the press recently. Obviously, for the last couple of games, we've been abysmal, and we've just totally fallen off a cliff. But he's come out in the press today because obviously there's nothing to play for, saying that next season's the do or die for Ryan Lowe. He even mentioned it himself. So, he's been building up a big game. But it's the same every season with Preston North End. We always like to build our hopes up, and then we've got nothing to play for the next 5 or 6 games, and it just peters out every single time. But you've got to trust in the process. We are getting marginally better, even if it's like 1 or 2 points every season. I just hope we're able to make the bigger jump in the near future.
It would.
I got to say. Just a quick one, yeah. I've got to say, I mean, we've put in some pretty abysmal performances from time to time this season, but I'm sorry to say it, you guys away at Southampton, that was an absolute shocker.
It was embarrassing. I thought, and to be fair, if Southampton didn't, put the foot off the gas, but realistically, they never came out of first gear. No. If they put the foot to the floor, it could have been 6, 7. We were abysmal, and I feel like it's just a mixture of the managers sticking to the same formation, sticking to the same players, and defensively we're not good enough. And then creativity wise, we don't have a designated right wing back when we're playing a system that revolves around wing backs. So when you're having to put a 5'6" Dwayne Holmes, who's clearly not defensively ready at right wing back, you're always going to cause trouble against players that are way above championship level in Stuart Armstrong, Che Adams, and Adam Armstrong.
Well, having said that, Southampton weren't that good the other night, but I have to say it would be nice to see Preston back up in the top tier again. One of the oldest clubs around. And talking about oldest things around, Craig. I mean, we're playing Preston, as Ollie has just said. Absolutely nothing to play for. Obviously, they're not going down. Their chances of playoffs have gone. We win, we're promoted. Whatever happens in the two games leading up to that, a win will see us promoted. And yes, it would be nice to go up as champions, as I said earlier in the season, and get the record. All about going up now. Does that make it harder for us because Preston have nothing to play for?
No, I think. I mean, they can go one or two ways, can't they? They can play with freedom that it doesn't really count for anything. You know, they're playing top of the league team, so they want to come out and show something for the home fans. Let me go back into my little pot of cliches. It's a free swing, isn't it? You know, it's they literally have got nothing to lose, nothing to win really, other than the kudos of the fans. You know, I assume it's your last home game of the season, Ollie.
Yeah, last home game of the season.
So yeah, you want to go out with a decent performance, I would have thought. So that can be tricky. When it comes to it, though, if it gets into a tough game, a physical game, and we're really at it, then it's difficult to raise your levels when there's nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the team will come out, Ollie? I mean, we'll come on to obviously tactics later, but nothing to play for.
Yeah, I mean, as Craig put it, it's practically a free swing. Realistically, if they can go out and play their own game, really. I think what Ryan Lowe will probably say to the lads is, show me something, show me that you want to be here next season. Probably the only thing going our way is, obviously, as it's our last home game of the season, we've got Captain Alan Brown, who's played over 400 appearances for us, who's out of contract in the summer. And there's been this huge debacle, whether he's staying or he's going. He's been offered a fresh deal. He's been clearly our best player this season, bar a few. And the contract's been put on the table. He's not signed it as of yet. And he's been given a deadline. So apparently we still won't know on Monday night if he's going to be signing. But it could potentially be our captain's, who's, a living legend at a club. Yeah. His last game at Deepdale. So if the players do know about that and they want to put on a show for Alan, who knows? It's going to be it's just going to be a free swing for all of them. But as things go, Leicester have got so much quality, and if you start conceding one or two, even with a free swing, it may get a bit.
Depends which Leicester turn up, though, doesn't it, Craig? Because
it does our away form, and I know you'll show home and away form. Our away form has been abysmal recently, unless you love binary scorelines. We're just not been at it. But hopefully now, that winning at Southampton must have filled them with confidence that. Yeah, it's within touching distance now, and they can have that moment. It'd be really nice, obviously, for us, because if they can get the job done against Preston on Monday night, they go into the last game of the season knowing that the championship trophy is on the line. So I think that would be the thought process: get one job done, and then hopefully see it through and lift a trophy at the end of next.
I have criticised both Leeds and Coventry fans. I know you find that hard to believe, but I have in the past week the way they celebrated when they beat us. But I think our lads were sort of celebrating and popping the corks on the pitch after that win. And did you see the video that I don't know who it was that took it? One of the players, I'm guessing, in the dressing room.
I did.
Great.
I did. I think there was a lot of relief though on that. Everybody coming into that Southampton game, manager, players, fans in particular. I didn't speak to any fan who was confident going into that game of getting a win, let alone a 5-0. So I think that was just everything coming out there. All the weeks and weeks of frustration. Even when we've been winning games, Norwich, Birmingham, West Brom, we were just scraping the wins there. So I think this was like, everything, all of those weeks of frustration coming out there, and I think the players just enjoyed the moment.
And I think anybody who questions Enzo, just look at the way he was joining in the celebration.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we'll see Enzo on Strictly Come Dancing next season. Who knows? Yeah, he's he's done what he's been asked to do, Enzo. So it's not, sometimes it's been a little bit boring, but is winning ever boring?
No, I mean, just finally on there before you move on, Chris. I think in many ways you probably got a view of what next season would be like, and the fact that we're going to go in. If we go up, I won't say when, but if we go up, we're going to be playing teams that virtually every week we have 35% possession. But it just showed how dangerous we could be with 35% possession, playing quickly, playing on the break, much like we did when we won the championship. So it was good to see that in those kinds of games we can find a way to win as well and win in style.
Indeed. And talking of winning in style, 3-0 last time we met, Ollie. I don't know if you went to the game at all.
No, I didn't make the trip. I try to steer away from places that I can tell that we're going to get an absolute hammering. I didn't make the trip down to Southampton because obviously we know, and good job I didn't. But yeah, it is. When you obviously going to the King Power, I've been before. 10 years ago or so. When I think it was David Nugent was playing up top for you. So I've been to the stadium before, but I just, when you're going to go get absolutely pumped by a team of a higher quality, sometimes you just have to give it.
You were in the playoffs. I think you'd been top a few weeks before, and you've obviously watched the game on highlights and what have you. And I have to say, and I don't mean this horribly, but I was very disappointed in your performance, given where you were. Yeah.
I think the way coming off the start of the season, it's a bit weird actually, because we had quite a lot of injuries at the start of the season, so it kind of forced the manager to play a certain style of football, and hence why you see, the results of the way they were, where you're not conceding many goals, but you're also not scoring many goals as well. So it kind of just consolidated us to this one way of playing football to, probably limit harm. But it worked out for some point in the end up. But obviously when you come up against teams of real quality and you can, beat past the low block that you're having to put out, once one goal goes in and you have to come out and try and play actual football, the quality of Leicester against Preston North End, it's like chalk and cheese. So, the way that we got to play is like the way we've got to play on Monday. We've got to just hope that we frustrate you and nick a 1-0. But if you go and score one early doors, then, we've got to open up and you'll pick us apart.
Craig, I'm sure you were there for that game. Due to all getting a brace, this might be his last away game for Leicester City.
I think there's every chance, maybe as much as he'd like to stay if we get promoted. I think he's not going to be short of offers, and sadly I think the club need to get some money in to try and stave off the worst of the financial points deduction that we're going to get. So I can see it'd be like one of those, neither party wants to really move on, but I think it's inevitable in many ways because he's one of our most saleable assets. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we've got these hopefully 2 games left of the season, and I think that might be it for KDH.
And I mean, in fairness, he's not asked to move, but then Barnes never asked for a move. Maddison never asked for a move. So, when players don't ask for a move, but then do move on, you can't really have a go at them because, they moved on before the two of the players, financial reasons of just getting relegated.
Yeah, and I think he felt it, being a local lad, coming up, Leicestershire lad, I think he felt it hard that relegation last season. So very early when he was being linked with teams. I think he was being linked in the January window with the likes of Brighton. But he seemed like he wanted to try and put it right, and apart from the odd game here and there, I don't think anybody can say that he hasn't put everything in to try and get us back up to the Premier League. But I think, he'll have opportunities to move on to bigger and better things.
I think so. Having said that, Maddison went to Spurs, so you could question whether that's bigger and better or not. But you were there, and what were your thoughts on Preston in that game?
Probably similar to what you just said there. Preston came after a fantastic start to the season. I'm not sure if you were still top or second or something, but you were up there. You'd had a great start, playing decent football, and like most people, I think at that point, it was a little bit disappointing from our perspective. But I say disappointing. We put in a decent performance, but I think everybody expected a little bit more from you, and I think from that point, whether it knocked your confidence of the players of what you were really up against when the so-called bigger teams started to kick into gear, then it did start going downhill a little bit. But where you are now, I would imagine that you would probably have taken something similar. Best performers would be trying to get nicking into those players at the end of the season, but you can't be overly critical, I guess. But it becomes like the frustration of this being the story every season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the story of every season, as you mentioned, Craig. Preston North End's main opportunities nabbing a sixth place every year, and then I think as everyone knows, if you get into the playoffs, it's a 3-game season. It's a pot roulette. So you look at the teams that have gone up, especially Luton, who have a budget of like ourselves, because I'm not beating around the bush. We've got I think like a bottom 5 budget and wage expenditure. So we're having to tread carefully around how we use the market. We're not going to be able to go and give someone $100,000 a week, someone like yourself.
Can we these days?
But yeah, it's every North End stream to sneak into the 6th place, and then, as I mentioned, it's a pot roulette once you get in there. 3-game season, and I think the last time we got into the Championship playoffs was 2005, where we got beaten by West Ham in the final.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can see there that's your season, and like you say, you could put the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many seasons you want to over the top. Wouldn't look a lot different.
No, it'd look exactly the same. Well, the end product would look exactly the same, really. It just always in the middle.
But you had a good start. I mean, look, you can see the arrow there showing where you played Leicester. You had been top. You were still comfortably in the playoffs at that stage, in third. And then after that, yes, you had a bit of a dip, but you got back up into the playoffs. And I think it was during that sort of period where the bottom 2 in the playoffs, 5th and 6th, seemed to change every week. Somebody was in, then they'd drop out, then they'd come back in. It did kind of, it was, I suppose the Southampton went lost, you did drop down quite a way. So you got back up. But I think it was Cardiff, was it, your after Blackburn? That was sort of your last game there.
Yes, I mean, it was Swansea, actually. It was Swansea, and it was at the stage where Ryan Lowe was on his last tenure, and we were like, 99% of the fan base wanted him gone, and then the dreaded club statement, "We're backing our manager," comes out, which means we're backing you, but if you perform badly in the next 2 or 3 games, you're gone. And then he's picked it up. It's like a new manager bounce where he thinks he's losing his job, so we turn up for the next 2 or 3 games, and then he's pretty much safe for another 10, 15 games. The run that we had in the middle of the season, I think we picked up like 5 wins in 23 games, which is abysmal form. and especially not a form that you expect of someone challenging for the playoffs. So it was that rust that really obviously brought us to where we are today, and then obviously the last five.
I think you can see it there in the figures: winning 18 but losing 17.
Yeah, we're so it's like we're like a big dipper, just up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's the story of North End every season.
It does seem to be, unfortunately. But looking at the last five, Craig, and I'm pleased to say that if we take the form overall, and this is just on the last five, that Leicester are second, and Preston North End are 23rd. I mean, form means absolutely nothing at the end of the day. As somebody, Brian Clough, I think it was, once said, I picked a good team on paper, but unfortunately we played on grass. But if you look at the actual Preston's home form, it's slightly better than our away form.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, our away form has been shoddy, shall we say. It's been very disappointing. But the frustrating thing is, we've had performances where we've created enough chances to win every game we've been in. And that was the frustrating thing. On Tuesday night, we were just clinical. Some of those goals were just fantastic. They were all. I don't think you could say that the keeper had a chance with any of those 5 goals. Really, they were all.
Maybe if he kept his leg shut for Ndid's header.
Yeah, I mean, he was about 4 yards away from him, and you do the classic of heading it down. But I don't think, they were all very good goals. Although obviously, Southampton chose to have a bit of a Wout farce approach to defending, like just back off and have as much space as you want. But I think our away form has been really poor. But they've got something to play for now. I would expect something a lot better than we've shown in the last few games away. Looking
there at yours, Ollie. I mean, all right, yes, you drew with Watford. You beat Huddersfield, which I guess you would expect to.
Yeah.
Norwich, that was a tight game, I'm presuming, because it was only 1-0. Southampton, we've discussed. Last time out, Queen's Park Rangers beating you 1-0. I mean, you cost me 3 points there in the prediction league because I went for a Preston win. Those are games that can define your season, because that's a game really. I know Queen's Park Rangers are fighting for their life, but it's a game that again you would have looked at and would have thought you should have won that one.
Yeah, I think it's massively on having something to play for. The last game against QPR, we knew that we had nothing to play for. I think, if we managed to get a win in there, then maybe you're still in with a potluck. But after the Norwich game, obviously them being in the 6th place, that was a real 6-pointer. Obviously coming away from that, we were shocking against Southampton. I felt like the players knew that they weren't getting anything for the rest of the season, and the QPR game was absolutely shocking. You could just tell that they were on the beach already. Feet up, lax performance. It's the tail end of every North End season. Once there's nothing to play for, the players don't have that spring in their step. They don't have the want or need to go and chase those first or second balls, and obviously those are vital in winning games of football. Once there's nothing to play for at North End, it just, I think the players think, even the fans think, what's really the point?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether you read anything into this at all, Craig, but looking at Preston, they've scored 4, conceded 8. Conceded 6. We've scored 9. You can't really do too much out because 5 of those was in one game.
Yeah. No, you can't. The Championship's unpredictable at best. So I think looking at any kind of form, any kind of goals, because anything can happen. It is. I mean, they were talking about they were talking after the game. I don't know. Oh, you watched the game anyway, Chris, didn't you? So I know they had Neil Warnock and Nigel Pearson, as well as Joby McAnuff. And Warnock was extolling the virtues of the Championship being the best league in the world, because of how exciting and you just can't, unpredictable it is. And I think we've found that this season, that even when, you're strolling along 17 points ahead at the top, it could all come crashing down pretty spectacularly.
Oh yes. There we go. But this is the table as it stands at the moment. Looking good. I mean, for us, Craig, it wasn't technically a must win as such, but I think when you've got a game in hand, if you don't win it, then that advantage, and we were still favourites to go up because we had that game in hand. I wasn't confident going into it, so maybe I shouldn't be confident going into Preston, and then we might get something. But you look at that now, and it was an important win for us, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, like I say, in so many ways, just keeping ourselves ahead, putting the pressure on the teams who have got to play after us. We've played first quite a lot this season. We played first against West Brom. We were the first ones at another 12:30 kickoff. We got the points on the board, which meant the rest had to play catch up, and we've done it again. So the teams below us, what we're showing here is that basically they can't afford a slip up. No. Or otherwise they're going to just Leeds and Ipswich are going to be.
This play to our advantage. Leeds playing tomorrow night, Saturday night Ipswich. We're not playing till Monday.
Yeah, we've got a bit more time to rest and to work on things. The fact is that even if both of them win, it doesn't matter, because if we go and win our games, it's ours. So
yes.
I think we can concentrate on the job in hand, and just focus on one game, put everything into one game, and try and get the result, no matter what the other teams do.
Yes, I mean 10th, Ollie, at the moment. You're going to end up mid-table somewhere, I would imagine. We talked about your manager before. Is he the right manager to take you forward? I mean, you've got to be thinking now, with nothing to play for, you've got to, at this point, I think, start thinking about next season, haven't you?
Yeah. Realistically, I look at it two ways. In my mindset, I want Preston North End to be challenging for the playoffs. I want us to be much better each season. But is the grass always greener? You look at someone of, Blackburn Rovers. They've got a fantastic. They've got a good enough squad to be, potentially even pushing for playoffs, especially Sammy Smodics, and they've got a manager who's won, three in like 12 games, which is abysmal for him. So the way I look at it is, he's had 2.5 seasons at the club. He's come out and said, this is, technically do or die. We've made progress every season. You can't defy at that. But he's made quite a bold statement in the press in terms of, this is the season. So he's made it aware to the club. He's made it aware to the fans. He's made it very aware to the recruitment staff. In terms of, I'm guessing, what we need going into the summer. So hopefully it's a different looking Preston North End, especially in the defensive sector next season. But for me, I've just got to trust and see what he's got to do next season, because if it is do or die, fingers crossed it's do rather than die.
Well, yeah, for yourself. Craig, I mean, look, 4 teams there could end up on 90 plus points, but only 2 of them are guaranteed to go up. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad.
Yeah, I'm going to say one team is going to get 90 points and still be in the Championship next season. That's, or even 2 of them, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it is crazy. I mean, we've been critical of Enzo, of the team, because of the lead that we let slip. But when you look at the number of points we've put on the table, it's only because it's been an extraordinary year with other teams doing just as well almost. Any other season with that number of points on the board, we'd be promoted by now. So we are being overly critical, but we're being overly critical based on the fact that there's 3 other teams who have had phenomenal seasons as well.
Yes, exactly. Ollie, What? I mean, looking at the game Monday night, what sort of formation, tactics, player threats would you say Preston are going to employ?
Yeah, so Preston always play at 3 at the back. Notoriously, I always say it's 5 at the back because the wing backs are practically full backs at times. So we play with 2 wide centre halves in Andrew Hughes and Jordan Storey. And obviously, we have wing backs with one of our main players in Liam Miller, who's been out a bit this season. He's just come back from an injury, and we've really missed him, especially in terms of the creativity side. He's fantastic in one-on-ones, and he's a real threat to look out for, especially on the counter-attack, because I'm not expecting us to have much of the ball. Another one to look out for is number 10, Mads Frokke Jensen. He's far too good for Preston North End. Brought him in from Odense in Denmark in the summer for about 1.2 million. And he's a £10 million player. There's not a chance in the world he should be playing for Preston North End. I'm not too sure if he's a very good player or he's just a good player in a very bad side. So it's one of those. They're the main players to look out for. Just fingers crossed we're able to actually get the ball to them and not have them chasing shadows for 90 minutes.
Well, talking of chasing shadows, Craig, and I think he was joking. Enzo said that Fatawu might not make the team for this game. I can't believe that, to be honest with you. I felt a bit. I mean, look, Chowdhury had an amazing game against West Brom.
Yeah.
Probably better. It looked better than it probably was because of the goal line clearances and what have you.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think if Ricardo's fit, he has to come back in. He's the better player, I think, in that sort of position. I just don't think you make changes, do you?
I think Chowdhury will come back in for this one. I do. I think it would not surprise me as well if McAteer doesn't start instead of Fatawu. Just to keep those 2 players fresh. One for the last game of the season at Blackburn, when it may all come down to that. Promotion may come down to that. Winning the title may come down to that. Plus, if he has them on the bench, he can use them if he needs them. It would not surprise me to see at least Pereira back on the bench and Chowdhury back in the team.
I mean, do you remember when we beat Liverpool back at, I nearly said Filbert Street then, at the KP? Chowdhury had an amazing game and Rodgers came off blowing smoke up his arse. Yeah. Chowdhury was never, ever seen again on the pitch in a Leicester shirt and went out on loan to Watford the next season. But that says all you need to know about Brendan Rodgers. I've got to say to Enzo, who was also blowing smoke up Chowdhury's arse after the West Brom game, he has at least been back on the pitch. For me, I've got to disagree with that because I think for me, don't worry about the Blackburn game yet because if we can beat Preston, that is, if you like, a free hit.
I get that, but and no disrespect to Ollie to Preston. A team with a couple of changes should still be good enough to beat Preston. The team that beat West Brom should be good enough to beat Preston. I don't think it's like you're coming up, you're going away to Leeds or, again, no disrespect, but switch or something like that.
It's only just good enough to beat West Brom, though.
Yeah, I know, but, if you're putting West Brom and Preston in the same, at the same level, then I suggest you haven't been watching the last few weeks. West Brom were by far and away the best team that have been down to the King Power in the second half of the season, by a long shot. And I would not want to get them in the playoffs. I spoke to a Norwich fan last night, and I said they're the ones to avoid, not Southampton. West Brom for me are the team to avoid in there. So I think if you bring McAteer in, yes or no, could go either way. But I don't think bringing Chowdhury in for Pereira, weakens us that much that it should affect the result. To be honest, and I would rather let's face it. Yes, we can do this now, but you can have Pereira in this game, risk him for an injury, not get the result you want, and then you need the result against Blackburn. I would rather have him 100% rested, ready for Blackburn, whether we need it for the promotion or whether we need it to win the title.
And looking at the two games, you've got to say on paper again, Blackburn should be the easier of the two games.
Well, indeed, we can't argue with the last two games of the season that we've got. When you look at some of the teams that the others have got, they've got teams who are still going for to try and nudge their way into the playoffs. So I think it's worked out pretty well for us. And, I said before that I thought 4 points might be enough for us. So we've got 3 of those. I think even a couple of draws in these games, would see us over the line. But, I would be confident going into the Blackburn game, even if we didn't get anything out of this Preston.
And Ipswich have got 3 games in a week because they've got the game against Coventry, haven't they?
Yeah.
To play Hull, which won't be easy, and Huddersfield.
Hull is still looking at that last spot. So, and they're on a decent run of form. Hull, that will not be an easy game.
Yeah. Now then, we did mention this earlier, and I have renamed this now the Howard Wilkinson Trophy. But we'll go to Ollie first. Being at both, I'm sure you can name a few.
Yeah. Are we doing one at a time, or we're just naming it?
No, don't just go for it. I know. I'll bring mine up at the end.
Okay. I won't do too many. I'll go with 2 because I don't want to spoil the rest. A player that I don't want to see on Monday night, especially. He's not played much this season, but Thomas Cannon played at both.
Yeah.
And then obviously another one that I just mentioned earlier before, a certain David Nugent. And I'll give you one more, Paul Gallagher as well.
Yes, yeah. I had forgotten. I'll tell you, it's not Cannon. I had forgotten all about Cannon. While you mention him, let's just come back because he's not getting into our team at the moment.
Send him back.
You had him last season and you wanted him again, didn't you, in fairness?
Yeah. I think I'll put it out there. It was heavily rumoured and I think it was actually confirmed that, Preston North End's transfer record is 1.5 million for David Healy back in 2001. And we went out there and bid 6 million for Tom Cannon, which is just completely out the water. We wanted him back. So he was superb last season. Fantastic striker. I'd have put him on the same level as Cameron Archer when he was at North End. Obviously he went on to sign for Sheffield United for 20 million from Villa. I just can't understand why he's not getting the game time at Leicester. He's a superb player, a clinical goal scorer. He's quick, he's powerful. He's probably everything that you want in a striker. But if you do get promoted, just make sure you give him a nice little return to deep down next season.
I think he's not been getting a game, but mainly because he's behind one of the Premier League legends.
Yeah,
and Zambia's number 3 striker. So he's never going to get a name again, is he?
I'm going to ask you though. I'm going to ask you this because before I get on take your choices, Craig. Zambia's number 3 striker. Yeah, I didn't know he was that high, to be honest with you. I mean, people do have this thing that I seem to love Daka. I think he did a good job for us before AFCON when he was called upon. His confidence is absolutely shot at the moment. Literally, it's the barn door banjo situation with him. Vardy's going to start because he's going to have been literally a week since we last played when we played this game, less one day. So he's going to start again. And quite it just goes on. And we're talking about if we can sign anybody next season, we're on about giving him an extension, I think. And why not? He'll probably still be doing it when he's 50. But I don't. As much as I think I feel with Daka is he gets over criticised.
No, I agree. I was talking about this just today, Chris, and quoting you, where you were saying that he gets overly criticised for the same things where Jamie seems to get away with it. Jamie misses 2 sitters against Bristol, and it's nowhere near as much of the stick that Daka's got for the same kind of thing. So I know where you're coming from, Chris. I personally would like to see Cannon start
me too.
against Preston, because I would imagine that he'd be up for it,
Yeah.
So it would be great, and it's an ideal game for him. But sadly, I just can't see it happening.
I mean, Vardy won't play the full 90 probably.
Right.
The past games, he got up to either 60, 70, 80 whenever, and he's come off. Daka comes on, and I suppose with Daka it's his speed. You're playing against tired defenders at that time.
It's his work rate, I think. Yeah.
And if nothing else, he'll close players down and close the keeper down. But I would like to see Cannon come on.
Yeah.
Right. So we have 3 there from Ollie, with Cannon, with Gallagher, and with Nugent. Who would you think I might have gone?
Yeah, I mean, he's taken 2 of the ones that I thought of. To be honest, I thought you'd go down with Gallagher and Nugent, and I would be very surprised if it's not David Nugent, given the little smile that you gave earlier in the programme when he was mentioned.
Did I? That was wind. That'll do. Well, I have to say, I almost went for Paul Gallagher, one of my favourite players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I've never interviewed him, but I have interviewed his wife. She's a very nice lady. Don't ask about it. No, it was for a charity. I used to love his penalties. I don't know if he was still doing them I can't believe. He must have been about 50 still playing for you, Ollie.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he finished playing when he was about 39.
Yeah.
But yeah, he still did the same penalty routine where he stands back against the ball and runs and smashes it.
Yes, but it wasn't Thomas Cannon either. It was wind, I'm afraid, because it's not David Nugent.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Simon Grayson.
It's funny because I thought of him earlier this afternoon, but I discounted him when I saw who else played for us. And Ollie's looking like there that he can barely remember Simon Grayson playing for.
No, he didn't. He didn't play for. I don't think he was.
He was just manager.
Yeah,
you've gone down the manager route again. Of course.
Yeah. Done me.
It's been at both. It's not played for both. It's been at both. You see, Howard Wilkinson, number 2. He did all right for you, didn't he, Ollie?
Yeah, he did fairly well. I think to be fair, majority of managers that come in, Simon Grayson, Alex Neil, and now Ryan Lowe, still continuing to get those mid-table finishes. He did fairly well. He did fantastically well, getting us promoted from League One, Simon Grayson, but then obviously decided to try and take Sunderland, who were relegated from the Premier League at the time, to try and take them back up. Obviously didn't go down too well for him because it was back-to-back relegations. But yeah, to be fair, with North End managers who do have 2 or 3 seasons that we give them, we're always here, we're always in mid-table, so they always do a fairly decent job.
Yeah. Craig, your memories? He's holding the League Cup there. Or is it the playoff trophy? I think it's the League Cup, isn't it?
It might be I'm not sure actually.
I'm not sure which one it is. Yeah. But great. One of my favourite Leicester players.
Yeah. No. When you get certain players that they could be a 9 1 week, a 4 the next. We've got plenty of those in the squad at the minute. Grayson was always a 7. He was like the Mark Albrighton of his time. He was always going to put you in a solid performance. Always pop up with an important goal. I can't remember if it was a playoff semi or it may have been the League Cup semi away at Crystal Palace. I remember he came up with a headed goal that got us to Wembley. Really solid goal.
It wasn't Wimbledon, was it not?
It might have been. It might have been Wimbledon.
Wimbledon in the League Cup semis.
Right.
I think it was. And it was the winning goal.
Yeah,
He only
I'm
got
gonna say
4
maybe
goals. It's not like we've got a lot to choose from
Yeah.
here. 188 appearances, but only 4 goals.
Wow.
I'm just having a look here. Won the League Cup. Here we go. During his time at Filbert Street, the team won the League Cup in '97 with Grayson scoring the goal against Wimbledon, which put them in the final, and was voted the club's player of the season in the same year. So yeah, it was Wimbledon, and it was the League Cup. Yes. So
no, good play. I'm taking the credit that it was at Selhurst Park.
Well, that's the point. Yeah, that is the point. Well, we'll call that one a draw then, because I can understand that being confusing. But yeah, a great servant for us. Like I say, 188 games. We got him from Leeds, actually, didn't we? And 188 games, 5 seasons with us before following Little to Aston Villa. So there we go. Another one you didn't get there, Craig. What can I say? Okay, so it's time for this. Now I've got to admit here and put my hand up. We do the prediction show tomorrow night, guys. If you're watching, 7 o'clock. It's going to be a very short one. Well, I don't believe for a minute it's going to be a very short one because you've got Brad and Dave on it. And usually they take them 3 hours to get through it. But they've only got 45 minutes, then I'm cutting them off because we're doing the live watch along for the QPR Leeds game. But I can tell you, Craig, that you have gone back above me in the prediction league.
This is what we like.
Only by 2 points. Don't get excited, but you are above me.
That's enough.
That's all you want. But Ollie, will come to you first as our guest. Can we have your score prediction, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Leicester win.
Really? Ooh. No confidence at all?
No confidence at all.
Wow. We've had that a few times this season, and when the fan has done that, we've usually lost, to be honest with you, so that's worried me.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Exactly. Craig, go on then.
So you say I'm above you in the league now?
Yes.
Yeah, feel free to go first then.
No. As a host, I always allow my guests to go first. Only because I can't remember what I sent to Brad earlier.
Yeah, I usually let my elders go first, but anyway. I'm going to go. I haven't put mine in yet, so they could change. I'm going to go 2-0 Leicester.
Wow. Well, I'm just checking what I've done here, and I'm just checking the actual table. Craig, you're on. Oh no, Craig, you're on 303 with 41 correct predictions, as in the exact correct score. You're in 7th. I'm in 8th with 302. So I'm 1 point behind you with 41 correct things. So it is the proverbial duck's arse. And I've just checked what I've gone for. Sorry, Ollie, but I have gone for 3-0.
Okay. I
am feeling confident after the game the other week. But look, you're not going anywhere because you'll still be here next season. Who knows? The way this league's gone, I mean, when you're looking at the guy that's at the top of the league, he supports a Premier League club. That says it all, really, doesn't it? About how we got our predictions all wrong. So you will be here next season. We could still be here, couldn't we, Craig?
We could.
This is
Stranger
Leicester.
things have happened.
Yeah, one of the things trophies we do win is to shoot yourself in the foot award regularly. But look, good luck for next season, Ollie. Thanks very much for coming on. Like I say, I love Preston and I wish you all the best. Again, just give everybody a shout out as to where they can find you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on, guys. My name's Ollie, obviously, from the Butter Pie podcast, Preston North End podcast. We're on all reputable streaming sites, so Spotify, Apple Music. And if you want to keep up to date with our socials, it's on Twitter or X at the Butter Pie Pod.
Brilliant. All the best, mate. Thanks very much for coming on.
Top stuff.
We may or may not see you next season. Who knows?
Well, for your hopes, I hope you don't. Take care, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye. And then next up, our last game Can you believe we are talking about the last game of the season?
I know. It's been a long one, isn't it? And when you start thinking back to some of the early games, you think, Jesus, that seems a long, long time ago, some of those early games. But, we're still there. We're still, it's all in our hands. At the start of the season, I think we'd have all taken playoff spot. So to come into the last two games, knowing that, one win out of the two will see us back in the Premier League, ready to accept our points deduction, then, it's all good.
It's all good. I mean, for me, I think it's flown by. I can't believe it doesn't seem 5 minutes since we're all going, Enzo who?
Yeah.
What do you mean he won the part of the team that won the Champions League? No, that's never going. We can't be having him. But hasn't it been fun? Hasn't it been fun winning again?
I mean, winning again, playing football without VAR, playing football where referees let tackles go.
Yes.
There's no way that we would have won that game 5-0 on against Southampton if it was a Premier League game. I don't believe it was a foul on Adams by Fast for the first goal, but it probably would have been given because he fell over. It definitely would have been ruled out because he was slightly offside. There would have been multiple yellow cards where I thought Bobby Madley refereed it really well.
He didn't have he'd got a reputation having come down from the Premier League, obviously, to manage this. But look, we've had some decisions go against us. Leeds, Dacker's goal against Leeds that wasn't allowed. Had that gone in, we'd have been probably up by now. But for me, and I was all for VAR because refereeing was so bad. But yes, referees get things wrong. Yes, linesmen right in front of them get things wrong. But you kind of accept it. Having had all these years of VAR, you accept it as human error.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we all watched the Leeds and Middlesbrough where there was it was a more offside than Fatawi was the other night. There was a clear offside, but he couldn't see it because Bamford was in his way. And even that, that did cost them the game. It took them in 3-2 at half time. But I remember going into work the next day and saying, I'd still rather just not have VAR.
Exactly.
I don't care. I don't care because, another cliche, it evens itself out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I don't care. The beauty of football has been rediscovered this season. Players playing football, players not diving and feigning injury, tackles being allowed. Ball hits the net, you look at the linesman, the flag's down, it's a goal. Just crack on. It's like football used to be, and I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, no, I when we spoke to the Southampton fan last week, if you remember, he said, if we don't go up, we'll have another great season in the Championship, enjoying our football. And Dan from Burnley was, he said they had a great season last season. Down in this league, he said you'll enjoy it again. And the thing you said there that I've got to pick up on, which I agree 110% with, tackles are being allowed to be made.
I mean, you saw how aggressive Farce and Vestergaard were, particularly Farce against Shea Adams. As soon as the ball got anywhere near, he was straight through him. And the referee's like, play on, get on with it.
Yes, yeah. No, I thought he did all right, Richard Madley, to be honest with you. I thought he started off badly, and I was saying that probably Richard Madley could have done better. But as the game progressed, and we do judge very early, don't we, as football fans? But no, I think it's been a pleasure in a way being in this league. We go up. I mean, we will be having an end of season, review, and all the presenters will be sort of, picking their player of the season and all that. But had we not gone down, let's say somehow we'd stayed up on that last day, I think we'd have still been in the same position at the end of this season. The fact that we would be struggling.
I think we'd probably be struggling. It's difficult because when you analyse it, there's not a great deal of difference between the styles of play. I think between Rodgers and Maresca, I think Maresca's probably a little bit more demanding. He's definitely more demonstrative on the side of the pitch. I think he's got a clearer idea of how he wants to play, even though it is a little bit, shall we say, frustrating at times. Southampton for me was really pleasing in so many ways. Forget the 5-0. The fact of the style of play that we adopted, that we knew, as soon as it turned out that we weren't going to have a lot of the ball, it was like, let's make the most of the ball that we do have. And we did it to great style. So, as I say, that gives me... Sorry?
Almost like a plan B.
Oh, well, almost, yeah. But the fact that that's probably how it's going to be in the Premier League next season. Less possession, but can we use the possession that we have better than we have when we have 60, 70% possession?
Yeah. And if we go up, of course, we keep Fatawu.
If we can do the deal, yeah. It would be nice. Yeah.
I think the EFL have put the transfer embargo on. I think we get the transfer embargo if we stay down, but we get the point deduction if we go up. I mean, I
still don't even. I think if they wanted to challenge that transfer embargo, I'm sure they could, because basically you've got a transfer embargo for not breaking any rules.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would stand up in court if we challenged it.
And at the end of the day, look, I think it was a case of they wanted to be seen to do something, because you put a transfer embargo on when there's no transfer window.
Yeah, no transfer window, no rules been broken in the league that they're actually playing in. I would think, it's about, as I would say, Football League, you have no authority here. You are the Jackie Weaver of the football world.
Yes. Right, Craig, thank you very much. I don't know if you're going up to Preston or not.
No, I'm not. Sadly, it's a bit of a long trip on a Monday night when, I'm just too much needed at work. What can I say?
What can I say? But you will be there the following Sunday, isn't it?
I will indeed. Yes, hopefully to see a few more fireworks go off and a trophy raised. That would be a lovely way to end the season.
God, honestly, but. Like you say, at the start of the season, I was quite happy with, and I said 7 or 8. My head said, and then we go up next season, as a better squad. This was before we all knew all this PSR shit. My head said I wanted us to go up, obviously. And then when you're 17 points clear, you think we're going to walk this. And like you said to me the other day, I'm talking about records and all sorts. Then it's just a case of we just want to go up. So to actually, it's amazing to say that we went through that dreadful patch, and yet here we are. We're still top, and it's still in our own hands.
Yeah, it was very kind of the other teams to drop off as well. It just shows that it happens to every team. Pressure comes, injuries come, fatigue comes. It's as I said before. For 2 out of the 3 teams, or include Southampton as well. It's a longer season than we've played for many, many a year. More games than we've played for many, many years. So by the time we were hitting the wall, it's the equivalent of already having played a full Premier League season, and then we hit the wall. But we've come through it. We've got those 3 home wins, and they were critical. So now, hopefully, in the next 2, we can get the job done.
Fingers crossed. Craig, thank you very, very, very much indeed.
You're very welcome, mate. I'll see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Well, see you next Thursday, hopefully, for the Blackburn preview. Yeah. All the best, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks to Craig there, my wise old owl. I can't. It has absolutely flown by this season. And I'll tell you what, the other thing is as well, I'm going to Australia in September, so there'll be like 5 weeks with no shows, so you can all enjoy the break. But that has just come round so quickly as well. But I just, like I just said to Craig then, from a season where we started, and I'm thinking, yes, give me 7th or 8th, and we build on it for next season. Catch you soon, Craig. And to go to then being so many points ahead that we're going to walk it, big-headed, I know, big-headed, but when you're 17 points ahead, that's what you think is going to happen. To then going mad, because, and it's the expectations. When you do well, your expectations rise. You know, if we'd been mid-table and had an awful start and then had a good run, done it in the other way, if you like, we would have all probably been reacting differently to it. But we didn't. You know, it was the way it is. And to go to that, to now being still in with a chance, and it's in our own hands. We've got 2 games. We need 3 points. 2 draws aren't going to be enough, so we can't go around. I know we've got Blackburn who are fighting for their lives, Preston who are, if you like, on the beach, nothing to play for, but that can be dangerous in itself because they can just relax and it doesn't matter. It's a free hit for them. But we're Leicester. We're never going to do it evening. John, who's just coming at the end, says, evening, you boys are nearly there. Let's hope we win tomorrow in London. Hope you win tomorrow. Oh, you're obviously a Leeds fan. It's just mad. It's just mad how many games we are. How many teams have got so many points, and yet there's only going to be 2 teams with 90 points that are going to go up. 2 teams could have 90 points and not go up. But do come back to us on Monday evening at 7:15 for the Match Day Live. Preview and team news from 7:15. The watch along for the first half, the half-time assessment, the watch along for the second half, and then the post-match reaction as well. That's all going to happen on Monday night. So there is no Let's Talk Leicester on Monday. Depending how it goes, there might be a review on the Tuesday as well. And don't forget, coming up on the 14th of May, 2 fans down the pub. Looking forward to that with Craig, who's a Bournemouth fan. We're going to be down our local, and we are going to be talking rubbish as we always do. But don't forget, tomorrow night we have got the Prediction League. That's at 7:00. I have asked Brad and obviously with Dave as well if they can close it off by 7:45 because we have got the Match Day Live QPR against Leeds. I'm going to be covering it because it's going to have such an effect on us. I think Leeds will win. I really do. QPR, they're fighting for their lives, but they're not consistent at the moment. I can't see anything other than a Leeds win, but then I'm absolutely shit at predictions, so who knows. Then this is a harder one. Hull, who beat Coventry 3-2 in a hard-fought game the other night, are playing Ipswich, and I'll be doing a watch-along for that as well, Saturday night, that one. Both of those at 7:45. So there you go. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you've been in the chat, I thank you very much for being in and joining in. Thanks to Ollie. His details are below. I love Preston as a club. Really nice, welcoming club. Still want to beat them, of course. And, of course, Craig as well for the penultimate time this season on the review show as well. If you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, we thank you for doing that as well. I would ask you to do one thing if you can do before you go.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload.
Yes, subscribe and also like as well. Click that like button. Thank you very much. It does keep the channel going. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7:45. Take care. And thanks as well if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform. Nearly forgot that one. See you all. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.